Hi, this is Niyanta Spelman with Rainforest Partnership, bringing to you Our Planet, Our Future, a video podcast presented by Rainforest Partnership. Find us at www.rainforestpartnership.org and on social media. Join us as we bring interesting and compelling guests to talk about the environment, climate change, and rainforests. I'm Niyanta Spelman. I'm the Executive Director of Rainforest Partnership. Welcome and join me as I talk to Leonor Zambrano here in Quito, Ecuador. Yeah. We talk about the project we worked on together, the Sani Warmi project with the community of Sani Isla. I was seeing Leonor this morning after several years, and it was very nice. And as we were sharing experiences, and she was sharing pictures and stories, and we were meeting with the general manager for Sani Lodge, which is the community-owned, operated, and managed lodge. I thought it'd be really great to share with you some of the recollections, because it makes us all smile and makes us feel very happy to think about the Women's Project.
Yeah, I always talk about the project as one of the most fulfilling projects I have worked on. And I have worked in many projects of development, but it was great, the opportunity to work with the women in the community. Of course, to work with Niyanta. I mean, she was there in the community. She wanted to, know every person that was involved in the project. But it was a fulfilling experience. We were talking about many memories, collecting stories like. The general manager today was saying that now in Sani Isla there are 600 people. When we start working in the community, we're 400 people. And by working with those women, we realized that there were about 20 women in the project.
And now there are over 30, yes.
At the beginning of the project. And they have 8 children each, and for me was
on average.
On average, and for me it was great that the money they make by selling the crafts that we work on, beautiful crafts, they were investing that money in education and in health for those kids, and that was very. It was good. It was good to see the children get into practicing reading in the workshop for women. They were also involved with their mothers in making they didn't make the crafts, but they were there because the women, they have to take care of their children. So we know many of these children.
And we know a lot of the women.
Yeah.
So this morning, for instance, Leonor met Giovanni for the first time, and she says, who's your mother? And he says, Teresa. And she says, I know your mother. And it was the same thing. Somebody says, oh yeah, you don't know my mother. When I met her at her house, because we went there, Giovanni took us to their house. I said, I know your mother. And they told me, and it's of course there could be more than one Teresa and she's Blanca's sister, Blanca's older sister, the oldest sister. Yes.
Teresa Tapuy.
And it is really nice. And so when I meet all the young people, here, and we're at the office of Sani Lodge in Quito, that's why you hear some of the sounds in the background. But when I run into any of the young people, the first thing I ask is, who are your parents? Because I want to know who they are. And
because
many of the people, and it's oh, you are so-and-so's son, or you're so-and-so's daughter, and makes you feel very good. And because I was in Sani Isla, and I was with the women, and I was in the community, and then I was at the lodge, it was just very, very nice. And you're walking, and it's wait, I haven't seen you before. It's yeah, you're right, you haven't. And there was one woman in our women's project, And I looked at her and I said, you don't look familiar at all. I don't think I've ever met you. And she says, yeah, it's the first time I'm meeting you. And I said, I was coming so many times, Martina. She was on the other side of the river, very far. And so we'd not met each other. And to me, that was really interesting. That, but as I said,
women working out,
and I
crossing
said,
the river.
Because I said, so you're a new member? And she says, no, I've been here for a long time. I said, okay, 3 years, 4 years. She says, no, from the beginning. And I said, how have I not met you? She said, because I live very far. And so it was really, really nice. But there were several things I was talking about. This morning, you were talking about, the conversations you had with the women. The first workshop, I was there.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very interesting.
Well, we were watching the pictures when there was, with the founding of Rainforest Partnership and the partnership that they made with Conservación y Desarrollo, we built this workshop for women. And I was showing the pictures and the videos 8 years ago or more, when there was no workshop for women, and we built that workshop from it's
and when she says workshop, she's talking about the artisan house.
Yes, the house for women. And why was that so important? Because women, they were doing some of the crafts they are doing now, but they didn't have a place to gather and to get a sense of economic project. They didn't have a sense of a group like women, like they have now. I see the pictures now that Niyanta showed me, and I see that they dress alike, and they have a way to show the crafts and all that. But back in those days, they didn't have this sense of group, of working together with an objective or with many objectives, and they have that now. That was built. That was why it was very important to build this place where they can gather together, where they can talk about the problems, where they can talk about their development, when they can talk also about the family issues. Seeing their path from there is. It's amazing.
It is, isn't it?
It's amazing.
And so many of them have come into their own. They've become, you can't say become, because they were natural leaders. They were natural women leaders who didn't have a way of exploring and knowing their sense of self, or they didn't have the ability to explore and understand what they were really capable of. And if you think about Blanca, she's great at going to fairs and representing the Sani Warmi project in front of governments and important people. And in fact, in the community, I was introducing her to one of the tourists who wants to, by the way, volunteer in the community with working with the women. And she's from the Netherlands, and she just waited and waited and waited for me. And I didn't think, I wasn't taking her that seriously. It was like, every second person says they want to volunteer, but really, do they have it in them? And she waited, and then I had her meet Blanca. And she said to Blanca, what do you like doing? And she says, I'm very happy when I go and represent Sani Warmi, and I go to the fairs and I talk to people, and but here's what she's doing right now. Yes, she works in Sani Warmi, but also she's one of the 3 women who's doing laundry and making the beds in the rooms. And I thought, most tourists come and they'll see her as this person who cleans their room and washes their stuff. And when I see Blanca, I see a friend, and I see a powerful, strong woman. Yeah,
she is.
She is. That represents her community and her people and Sani Warmi in such powerful ways that Sani Warmi is recognized in this country, and they keep getting invited. And it really, that transformation, that she's both those things, right? And she does it equally well, and she takes pride in both. And so I actually have an interview with Blanca, and as soon as we get it subtitled, we will be sharing that. But there were a couple of other things that I thought about, Leo. So you remember one of our trips down there. So So we were working in the community, but we were staying at the lodge.
Yeah.
And you remember that we had a canoe that brought us back really late.
Yeah.
And then we walked on the sort of pathway to the canoe.
At night.
And it was almost evening,
Yeah.
and those dugout canoes.
Yeah.
And there's nobody but you and I. Try maneuvering a dugout canoe. 2 women. Not strong enough. They're very heavy. They're very long.
And they're very narrow. They are like.
And you were at the back.
Yes.
And the oar is like this.
I remember that.
And you remember we went zigzags, so the canoe would go hit that bank.
You know, I'm not that bad at.
No, I'm very good as well.
But then you realize how powerful are these people who
were able.
In those rivers, because you are.
The current was very strong.
Yeah, the current is very. You don't see it, so that's why you think, I can
calm.
do this. Yes, but then you realize how powerful are these people to be able to do that against the current.
Because remember, we kept hitting the banks, so it was zigzagging.
Zigzag.
And we kept hitting, of course, at the banks are all the trees.
And that night, I was, my biggest fear, it was not a snake, it was a huge spider. Fortunately, nothing of that happened.
I was thinking snakes. I didn't care about spiders. So here are 2 women afraid, and we're thinking, what are we going to do? And then we let the current bring us back, and we just sat, and we said, sooner or later they'll realize that we haven't come back, and they'll send a canoe for us, and they did.
Fortunately, yes.
I don't even remember how long it was before.
I
thought
about
about
that long actually, because we were there for dinner, back on time for dinner. But
I don't remember that part.
Those stories.
So I was just telling Giovanni because Deborah is the consultant who's down there, and we'd gone there with Santiago, but then there wasn't a canoe, so we were just sitting there, and I thought it was beautiful. And so I was telling them what happened with us. And the next night I told Giovanni and Wilson, who's the administrator at the lodge, that what happened, because it was a great story.
Yes.
And it was such fun in a way, but when we were waiting and it started getting dark, and I knew Deborah was worried because she hadn't been on the water in the dark, but it's got its own mysticism and it's beautiful. And Santiago, the canoe comes. There were 2 tourists that were camping, and they came back really late. It got dark. But Santiago took us back without any torch. He just knew the way. And he's one of the guides from the community. He's one of the guides at the lodge. And to be with nature when everything, all the nightlife is alive, it was just beautiful.
I love people from the Sani community, and
Why?
Because they manage the hotel, and the hotel was built a long time ago. I don't know if you know the person.
17 years ago.
Yeah, Tom and Don Orlando, who was from the community, and they built that hotel. But for me, it's like one of the places in the jungle that you can truly say is communitarian tourism, because every person, when you come to the office here in Quito, is managed by people from the community. And that, when you in Ecuador, you are raised in the jungle, like we were talking about the story with the canoe, and you are raised in the jungle with a school that it is 2 hours away, or high school, which is 6 hours away from the community. And being able to know part of the business in an office with tourists from many parts of the world in Quito, that's like a huge step.
Yes. And everybody working here, pretty much, not everybody, but the majority of the people are from the community.
Yeah. And in the hotel too.
Yeah.
And amazing guides. For example, people that are bird watchers, they really like the guides from Sani. they have an incredible knowledge about
the plants
and the birds and the animals
insects
and in many languages, and they are so they have magic eyes. So it's a wonderful experience as a tourist, as a person who works in development. It's a magical place. It's in many ways. It's just beautiful, and the people are just beautiful. So I like it.
It's nice being here, isn't it? In their office, yes. That's Sani Lodge is the community-owned, operated, managed lodge. I wanted to just for a moment change the subject and say you were this morning talking about your recent work in the project, which was fascinating for me.
Yeah.
That you talked about cacao.
Sí. Conservación y Desarrollo is a project of Conservación y Desarrollo.
And they've been partners before, and we're going to be partnering again.
Yeah. We work in a project that lasts 3 years, and it was pruning cocoa. When people hear pruning, what's pruning? It's just cutting the branches of a tree. Any kind of tree can be pruned. And we prune cocoa with two objectives. One was to increase the production in the country, and the second one was to reduce the level of diseases that affect the cocoa. And this is a very environmental practice. People normally, farmers, do it in their lands with machetes. They cut the branches. And why it's important to cut the branches of a tree is because if it's a productive tree that has fruits like cocoa, and these are very delicious fruits. I eat the chocolate.
It's funny. No, I will come back to eating chocolate, but yes, I mean eating cacao, yes.
So by cutting, for example, cocoa, it can grow.
Yes. Very tall.
Yeah, 7 meters or 12 meters high. So by reducing the height of the tree in 2 meters, and cutting branches that are not necessary for the structure of the tree really invests their metabolism in producing the fruits. It's a beautiful tree. It has lots of leaves still, but it focused their metabolism in producing more fruits.
And so you get a much higher production for cacao.
And it's easier for the farmers. You know, sometimes farmers, they had to use these long ladders to pick up
the cacao.
And they put their lives in risk. There are farmers, I have met farmers who are in wheelchairs. Because imagine a 6 meter tall tree. So it's good for the production.
Almost 20 feet.
And it's good for the farmers who don't have to risk their lives to harvest. And it was very good for the country. We worked in 17 provinces in Ecuador. We pruned...
Out of how many provinces?
25.
Yes.
We pruned more than 61 million trees.
That's just,
and you say, no, 61 million trees. But we prune it with machinery that makes the work efficient. For example, a farmer can invest a month or 2 months sometimes in 1 hectare. Okay, we did it with a team of workers, with a team of people that we hire, and basically we work a hectare in the morning.
Yes.
Imagine what the impact of that.
How many hectares in total did you?
Around 150,000 hectares. And we work with about 60,000 farmers. That's half of the farmers in Ecuador.
That's incredible.
Of the whole production area in Ecuador. And that was amazing for the country because the the production increases 50,000 tons a year, in 1 year.
Wow.
And we became the first producer of cocoa in America. Ecuador has the tradition for cocoa, but we have, due to diseases and due to many issues that farmers have to face, we have gone down in that rank.
Okay.
And we became the first producer in America, and this was very well advertised by the newspaper, and because the lovers of chocolate, they love us even more. So it was a great and exciting and super busy experience. Yeah.
And then you talked about the aroma of chocolate from the Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you share?
The origin of cacao is the Amazon.
Yes.
You need to ask an expert about this, but basically, what provides the aroma to cacao apparently is the genetical origin. When you go to the Amazon, there are many rivers that are tributaries to the Amazon River. And in each of those rivers, you find a different genetical type of cacao.
Yes.
So all the genetical pool of cacao is in the Amazon. And we share is here. Well, I would like to say it's in Ecuador, but the Amazon is
it's more than Ecuador.
Yeah,
yes,
it's more than Ecuador. So we share this amazing fruit with Venezuela, with Colombia, with Brazil, with
and
Bolivia,
Peru.
with Peru, and the aromatic quality. Once you take the plant out of the Amazon, it loses their aromatic properties.
Yes.
Once you take, so
the taste remains, but not the aroma.
They have, yes. They have a very good quality, for example, of cacao in Ghana.
Yes.
People from Ghana, they really know how to improve the quality of cacao. But they haven't, it is not up to people to fix the aroma.
Yes.
It is somehow connected to the geographical origin of the fruit to provide the aroma that the fruit has.
So I'm going to ask Leonor one last story to share, because she was sharing it this morning, and you were talking about the nursery. Share that story. Yes.
Yes, that was a headache back in those days when
we were establishing a nursery. Was one of the things we wanted to do, so the women would have a place where they could get their fibers and seeds, and so they could have sustainable harvesting of some of these plants.
Yeah, when Niyanta went to the community before starting the project, she studied what she's going to do. So she goes to the community, and many women told her, well, when we get the fibers, we put our lives in risk because we can get bitten by a snake. In fact, that had happened in the community.
Yes.
When they went to the forest to collect the fibers that they used for the handicrafts. And so we wanted to fix that. And we came up with the idea of making a nursery close to the community where we were going to plant the trees and the fibers that were required to do the crafts.
Yes.
And we were working, we set up like a hectare, two?
Yeah, it's 2 hectares.
2 hectares now.
Yes.
Yep. And we planted trees.
Because the community gave the women that area, and
And it was a headache because the plants died, and we were desperate because it was one of our results in the project. It was being able to raise those trees in the nursery. We hired this fantastic woman, Teresa Shiki. She's a shuar, and she knows a lot about plants. So we hired her to come to the community which is very far away from her community in the south of Ecuador, Shuar community. And we brought her to Sani. And she went to the nursery and she said, look, you're wasting your time. And you can keep wasting your time, and you can keep sweating and keep working hard, and you're not going to get results. I'm like, no way, if you work hard, you get results. And she was, no. The trees, these trees that you are planting here, they are part of an ecosystem. They cannot grow isolated, or they cannot be mixed with other trees. They have an ecosystem. They need to grow up in their ecosystem. It's better for you that you protect the jungle, you protect the rainforest, to keep harvesting these trees in a very conscious way, to make your crops, because they are not going to grow here, out of the jungle, out of the forest. So our set of mind have to change. We have to change it to, this is a way for us to eat. Selling our crafts is the way or how we sustain our lives. So in order to sustain our lives, we need to protect the forest, which is the origin of our materials to make the crafts.
And it was a beautiful way of connecting. The main reason we were doing this was so that the women would have an income and allow them to protect their forest and their way of life. The nursery, by the way, has many different plants, because there are many plants many plants that can grow. They don't grow as plantation trees or plants, but they can still survive in slightly different environment than a proper forest. Yes.
Yeah. Those things that you have to be flexible.
Yes, and to learn and adapt. And we had to learn and adapt a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was beautiful to work with you, and I have great memories.
Yes.
And I know that you are going to keep having an alliance with Conservación y Desarrollo, which is an organization I care a lot about, and I know that Rainforest Partnership is going to continue contributing to Sani Isla and the community and making things even better. So.
Yes. And it was great because we just had a meeting today, and I've been in the community. I've been spending a lot of time going back and forth between this office and the Conservación y Desarrollo office, and really Seide was our first partner NGO in 2008. So it'll be 10 years next month.
Wow.
Since we first met, so yes.
Luckily, you look the same.
We hope.
So,
a few more gray hairs.
A little bit.
Yes.
That's good too.
Well, thank you so much, Leonor.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope you all enjoyed this, and we'll have more segments. Well, thank you.
Keep on watching.
You've been listening to Our Planet, Our Future, brought to you by Rainforest Partnership. From Niyanta Spelman and the Rainforest Partnership team, thank you for joining us.